meet the legendary Tony here at the legendary Arbetters, baby. Tony! 3-point Tony, man. How you doing?
Good to see you, Ron.
This is hollow ground.
It is hollow ground.
Your name is on the wall.
Well, you know what?
Did you pay for it?
I spent a lot of time here, man. High school days, this was the stomping grounds. We come in here and we rag on the Columbus guys.
Where'd you go to high school?
Miami Palmetto.
Palmetto, okay.
Miami
So
Palmetto.
we're already bitter rivals from the beginning because I'm a killing guy.
Oh, the Big Cat Trophy. I'll have you say that I won it every year that I went to school.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't win it once. The reason why, Tim Hardaway Jr. stopped me every single time.
That's right. There you go.
Can you take us back to the beginning?
Yeah, I was born and raised in New York City. My father was Cuban, my mother from Colombian descent. My first language was Spanish, and I purposely forgot Spanish. I was
Really?
lucky. Yeah, I purposely forgot it because I just thought that was like a bad label for me because it gave people a reason to make fun of me.
Right.
I never played a sport in my life. Okay, it wasn't until in high school that the coach pulled me out of the hallway and said, "Hey, Ron, you're going to play basketball." I laughed at him. I said,
Like me?
"Have you seen me walk? I mean, come on, it's ridiculous." And we went to the tryouts. You know, you go through the tryouts, and then they'll pin up the people who make the team on the list.
That's right.
And I go up there, and then I see my name on the list. I see these guys who didn't make it, and then I'm ridiculed even more.
You just got there because you're tall.
I got there because I was tall, you know, and I went into the coach and said, "Coach, you're killing me. I don't even want to be on this team. It's just making things worse for me." I don't forget what he told me. He said, at the time, because I was so tall, he said, "Ron, you can't coach height."
It's true.
So
You still can't, by the way.
I'm going to take the time and invest in you. And that coach, he's probably the single most important person in my life outside of my immediate family.
How did you get from the trajectory of good at school, playing sports, giving you the confidence in sports, left turn animals? Like, where did that come from?
Animals were the focus from the very
Really?
beginning. The left turn was sports, was getting to be accepted into society. When I was a kid, there was one show, Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom. And there were two co-hosts in that show. There was a guy named Marlon Perkins and another guy named Jim Fowler. Jim was the guy who did the crazy stuff. I mean, Jim was jumping out of helicopters on top of caribou. He was, rappelling down mountains, grabbing condors with one hand. I saw the guy catch a jaguar in the Amazon with a throw net. I'm like, that's what I want to do. I want to be that guy. And when you have a job, if you love doing what you do, you're really not going to work.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's the reason why I've been at the zoo for over 44 years. It's because, dude, when you get paid to do things that people pay to do, I just got back from 2 weeks in Africa.
Yeah, an incredible trip.
I mean, I've traveled around the world.
So we go from working with other animals in a capacity that lands you on Sábado Gigante with Don Francisco.
It's true. I was literally at the zoo as a zookeeper, walking in the
Normal day.
The normal day, and I was doing, I think, a presentation about an animal. And this guy, Don Francisco, who I have no clue who he is.
Right.
He comes up to me in this kind of a heavy accent. He goes, "I would like you to be on my show." I said,
Okay.
"Okay, well, what's your show?" He goes, "I have a show called Sábado Gigante out of Chile, and I'd like you to be on my show." I go, "Okay, it's in English, right?" He goes, "No, in Spanish." I go, "Well, I don't really speak a lot of Spanish." He goes, "No, I teach you."
And nobody in your family spoke Spanish?
My father and my mother always spoke Spanish. So I heard it,
okay,
but I didn't speak it. I literally put it in the back burner.
Right.
And he goes, "I'll teach you." I had no idea what this show was. I got home. I told my parents, I said, "Listen, this guy, Don Francisco." Don Francisco?
It's like the biggest thing on the planet.
This guy is like the #1 Hispanic television star in the world. And I'm like, what? So he invites me on the show. I try to do some research on the show. There wasn't a whole lot of internet and stuff back then. And the thing comes across to me like a combination of Let's Make a Deal, The Gong Show, Oprah, Phil Donahue, and some other crap all put together in 3 hours of insanity.
Yes.
Insanity, okay? There's a bunch of girls out there that are doing the coochie coochie dance, and there's stuff going on in the show that would never pass on American television.
Right.
You got women that are really very
scantily clad.
So it was just one of those things where I'm like, oh my gosh. But that guy became the greatest mentor I've ever had when it comes to television, when it comes to the public. And he taught me something that's so very important, that is never take yourself too seriously. And there's so many of us, even in my profession, especially in my profession, where they get all hung up on things. One of the things I've learned on Dan's show is that, man, you got to learn to laugh at yourself, man. Because if you don't laugh at yourself, you're not enjoying life.
Right.
And Don Francisco told me that. He goes, "Look at me, Ron. Every Saturday I go out there and I make a total jackass out of myself." And it's true, he did. He put on these goofy hats, he'd do these stupid dances. He looked like an idiot, but he was making people happy. He always wanted me to kiss the models. He had the models come over, "Dale un besito, Ron. Dale un besito." I go, no. I always show my ring. I say, no,
Soy
man.
hombre casado.
Casado. Soy hombre casado, no puedo hacerlo. No. And that was part of the shtick.
How did you, again, not speaking Spanish, go to an all-Spanish show?
He would talk to me and wait for me to screw up. I would say a word, I would never say it right. He goes, ¿Qué? And that became part of the shtick of the show.
Right.
Aquí está, señoras y señores, Ron Magill.
¿Cómo está, don Francisco?
¿Cómo estamos, Ron?
Muy bien,
Asiento,
muy bien,
por favor.
gracias. ¿En qué país en el mundo tú puedes encontrar flamingos y pingüinos en el mismo lugar? Chile, Galápagos y Sudáfrica.
Chile, en Chile, en tu
Chile
país.
también.
Oye, Chile no existe. Chile es cuando hace frío. Yo vivo en Chile.
Yo quiero preguntarte algo. Un día yo puedo venir a este programa y me hablas nada más de los animales y no del español mío, por favor.
Yo tengo como 25 años viéndolos pelear a ellos dos.
30 años estoy hablando.
Y la
de
historia continúa.
30 años y todavía. Tú recuerdas, cuando tú me conociste, yo sabía dos palabras, sí y no. Y mira cómo lo estoy hablando ahora.
He would tell me after I started improving my Spanish, he would literally say, don't improve it too much, I'm not inviting you back. The shtick of the show is to make fun of your Spanish.
Right.
And he would go afterwards, we'd go in his dressing room, he goes, I thought, he goes, that's what we want to do. We want to have that kind of rapport back and forth.
You've been recognized in a lot of places. What's the most special place to you that you've been recognized?
For me, I guess the most special place is Cuba. The homeland of my father. I went back there doing some conservation work against the backlash of county officials who gave me all kinds of shit about it. And I was very thankful to a Herald columnist who defended me. Fabiola Santiago defended me. She said, he's going there for conservation. Conservation's, the animals in Cuba are not Democrats, Republicans, or
They're not
communists.
political, right.
They're part of the heritage of all of us. Anyway, to make a long story short, I'll never forget, I go into Little Havana, I'm walking down the streets of Little Havana. People are yelling my name, Tony, from balconies. Ron Magill! Ron Magill! No puedo creer que está en Cuba! Ron Magill! Ron Magill! People are coming down the stairs, and they're coming, and they're giving me food they don't have, Tony. They're offering me things that they don't have in their own house. They just want to take a picture, and I go, te veo siempre en Sábado Gigante. I go, ¿cómo tú ves Sábado Gigante si eso no es legal aquí en Cuba?
Right.
And they go, el paquete. I go, el paquete? What the hell is el paquete? They got this whole business over there, Tony, where they have these thumb drives. And these guys are like little Blockbuster video stores, little incognito in the corners, where they have the thumb drives, where these people are like pirating the show. They get it to these guys in the thumb, and then they rent out the thumb drives, and people watch Sábado Gigante every Saturday, part of La Paquete. It's all over Cuba. I mean, when they say the Cubans resuelven.
Always.
I mean, it's unbelievable. I look at the cars. I went into the old cars. I'm going, oh my God, that's beautiful, classic. I want to have it. Let me look at the engine. I open up the hood. It's like
a lawnmower engine.
Exactly, put together with rubber bands and paper clips from all kinds of different engines. These people are so ingenious in what they do. It was so rewarding to me because I got to be honest with you, Tony. I'd never been to Cuba, and I remember my father, who had since passed away, thinking he was New York. So when I went to New York, I went to Little Cuba. That's the way he spoke. And
Right.
When I went to Cuba, I realized, no, he was Cuba. I saw my father's face in every one of those faces when they came to me and said, oye, hermano, ¿cómo está, compadre? All this stuff. These are all the terms my father used to use. I said, wow, this is where my roots are.
Yeah.
Here, Tony, they would invite me into their little bodegas and give me food, and they would not take my payment. I had to throw the money at them. Go, no, tu amigo, tu familia aquí en Cuba, tu no puedes, tu dinero no vale nada aquí. How can you do that when I know you're starving?
When you have nothing.
You have nothing. You have nothing. And that makes me proud of them. Makes me proud of my heritage. So that's probably the most meaningful to me now. As the most surprising recognizability of the Sábado Gigante show. That guy Jim Fowler on Wild Kingdom. He became one of my biggest mentors.
Wow. It's like meeting Dan. So like the same way that you have that with Jim Fowler, where you're sitting there watching TV as a kid, I have that same moment where I'm watching him on PTI or whatever, and I'm looking at him, and then now all these years later, we're working
You're
together,
part of the crew.
and he's one of my mentors.
One of the most down-to-earth guys, and he's the one who taught me all this stuff. And of course, he was a huge international star. So I asked him to go down with me to Panama to work on this Harper Eagle project. And we had to go way into the rainforest in the Darién, which is on the border of Panama and Colombia. It's not a very safe area, but it's an incredible forest.
A lot of people,
Exactly.
a lot of
bad people.
evildoers there.
So we had to take a dugout canoe for 4 hours down the river to get to this village of these indigenous people. I mean, these people living in the forest.
Like
no electricity, no nothing.
in the forest.
Women bare-breasted, stuff like that.
Right.
So I got the GPS to go there, and Jim's with me. After 4 hours, we finally get to the riverbank where the village is, and the chief comes out. Guy just in literally a loincloth. He's wearing nothing else than
Like
some
from a
beads.
movie.
From a movie. This is the same thing he's in a movie. He comes up, he looks at me and he goes, Ron Magill.
You're like,
And I'm not. Now I'm sure I'm being punked. Now I'm
All right,
sure.
come on.
I was
Where
doing
the
this.
cameras?
Where's the candid camera here? What's going on here? And Jim looks, oh, come on. I'm the one who's being punked here because Jim's the international star.
Right,
and I'm the
you paid
zookeeper.
this guy to
And I
get-
paid this guy to do the Ron Magill, and who's Jim Fowler, right? And I realized it. And he goes, and I go, ¿Cómo tú me conoces? Sábado Gigante. I go, Sábado Gigantes. Si tú no tienes electricidad en el bosque, ¿cómo tú
no
puedes
tiene
mirar?
televisor,
No tiene nada. No, te voy a enseñar. We walk with this guy into the village, and as we're walking in the village, they got a television set up there that's rigged in one way or another to a car battery with a satellite dish. And they rig it in such a way that every Saturday it was like movie night for the entire village, Sábado Gigante.
Oh my God.
Tony, one of the greatest rewards I've
That's
had in my
insane.
career was they couldn't believe that I was there because they see me on this show. And then I said, let's make a video, you guys. And when I got back, I showed it to Don, and he put it on the show.
And they saw their own video.
And to this day, that village is the most famous village in Panama because those are the indigenous people that were on Sábado Gigante.
Wow.
And it was just, and that was, it was a great reflection on Don Francisco too, because he said, this is what my show is all about.
Yeah.
This is what my show is all about. And this shows you how we can connect. You know, so for me, listen, dude, I have lived such a surreal life. I say this.
You really have. I'm not saying that to blow smoke. Like, you have lived an incredible life.
Except for you kicking my ass in basketball.
come
But anyway, other than that, you know, the bottom line is, if I stepped out of here and die, no one should shed a tear for me because I have lived way beyond any dream I could have ever imagined.
Yeah.
I've got an incredible wife, incredible kids, incredible friends. You know, I say it, I've said it on the show. My favorite saying in the world is that life is not measured by the number of breaths that we take. It's measured by the number of times your breath is taken away.
Yeah.
Breathtaking moments define the quality of your life.
Thank you, man. Thank you
All
so
right,
much.
buddy.
Ron
Thank you,
Magill.
man. All right. Have me a hot dog.
Con cual, donde sea papi, boy, donde, con cual, donde sea papi.
Mi gente, thank you for watching Tony Tunite.